Mommispace, a place where you can remember who you are in the midst of it all. This podcast gives moms of all stages a voice to share their experiences and the truth that there is no right way to mom.
Those eyes are getting older, and your beauty is growing. Wonder Woman.
Welcome back to the show. It's the last episode of season 1. Can you believe it? Holy moly. I'm so thrilled that we got to start off the year this way, and I hope you've been enjoying the stories of these mamas and daughters and grandmas. It's been super fun for me. So yeah, today we have the Phipps legacy, the Phipps family, and they're amazing women. It's a very unique story in that the matriarch is the mother-in-law, which I just think is so cool, because you don't really hear that often. But yeah, before we kind of dive into that, I just wanted to share a really amazing review that we got on iTunes. This is from Kate. So grateful for the community and space of this podcast Bree has created. Bree empowers moms to be confident in themselves while learning from others. Every mom can truly benefit from listening to these stories to gain encouragement, empathy, and a space to whisper, "Me too." Thank you, Kate. I'm always so encouraged by your feedback. Please reach out. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I would love to chat with you. All right, here we go. Let's do it. Last episode. All right, welcome back to Mommispace. This is Bree, and today I'm here with the Phipps family. This is going to be fun. I am actually doing this over Skype, so it's a little bit different. I'm not totally in person, but it kind of feels like we're in person because we can see each other. I'm so excited. We had Allie on the show actually not that long ago, That wasn't that long ago. And it was so fun to talk to you. You have such a sweet family and unique perspective on motherhood. And so you actually, I was so happy you reached out to me and were like, hey, I could do one of the interviews with the with this season specifically regarding the generations that shape us. And I was like, that sounds awesome. So yeah, here we are. Yeah. So before we kind of dive in, would each of you just go ahead and introduce yourselves, how you're connected to each other, and then we'll kind of go from there.
I am Fran Watley, Phipps Watley. I am the matriarch. I'm Grandma Nana.
Yay.
That's who started this whole thing.
Awesome.
I'm Annie Phipps. Yeah, Fran is my mother-in-law. Awesome. And Allie is my daughter.
And I'm the daughter of them all.
Awesome. That's so great. Okay, so Nana, would you mind just starting out sharing a little about your own motherhood journey and what that was like when you were raising your own kids, and then we can kind of go from there.
I started in church. My life began in ministry. I met my husband in ministry, in a church in full gospel. I was playing the piano when I was very, very young. I played the piano since. So I met him in ministry. We were married in church. So the family was raised in church. So the family has known nothing but ministry. I have 4 children. I have 2 girls and 2 boys. I have a girl first. Her name is Christy. I have a girl, Cindy. And then I have a boy, Billy. And I guess you know that's Allie's mom. That's where we come in. Son, Greg. My oldest daughter, Christy, has had a really rough life, but she has voice like Sandy Patty when she can use it. Whitney Houston. Right, yeah. Whitney Houston, yeah.
Oh, wow, amazing.
My children are very gifted. My next daughter, Cindy, is very talented too. My son, Billy, when he will sing, but he's a wonderful minister. I'd rather hear him speak, but he can sing too.
I love it.
Is also very, very talented keyboard player, minister, but he recently had a kidney transplant, liver transplant.
Wow.
And, I mean, it was a miracle, and he's doing wonderful. And
good.
Georgia. So our ministry was always done in church. So we kept our family, raised them in church and in ministry. And our family came to an unfortunate divorce. And so even though it became, at that point, we stayed in church. And my family here supported me, and we went right on. And they've been my backbone, and it's wonderful. And I kept my family together right with me through it all. Met a wonderful man who recently just passed away. And
I'm so sorry.
It's been a wonderful life.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. Would you share a little bit about what it was like for you becoming a mother? Like when you first found out that you were pregnant, like had you wanted to have kids? Was that like an exciting thing for you? Was it like nerve-wracking? Like what was your experience with that, becoming a mom for the first time?
Well, you know, in the 60s, they didn't talk much about child protection and child, you know. So when I was pregnant, I was immediately, I was so fortunate to become sick immediately. You know? And it was so,
man,
nothing worked. So yes, it was really interesting, you know, and it was just something that you dealt with then. Christy was,
how old were you?
I was probably 18.
Wow.
I was 18 when I,
wow.
And then I was probably barely 20 when I had Cindy. And then I waited maybe, I waited maybe, 4 years? 3 years. And then Billy came along.
And then 4 more years.
Yeah, and then 4 more years I had Greg. So,
Wow.
I didn't waste much time. And plus, most of this time I was in ministry, had choirs, plus I worked full time. So,
wow.
So I was a busy lady.
Wow. And what were you doing for work full time then?
I was in finance. I was in financial institution. I was in banking, worked my way into mortgage banking, and I was vice president of a mortgage company.
Oh my goodness, you're a superwoman. Wow.
Yes, she is.
That's incredible. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's like, I just love hearing what it was like back then. And I don't know, I'm just like obsessed with like the history of it all. And so thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. Okay, so moving on, Annie, when did you meet Billy and what was it like going into your own motherhood journey?
I met Billy when I was 21, and we worked together, and we went on a date. And then 2 weeks later, he asked me to go to lunch to meet his family because his parents wouldn't allow him to date anyone they didn't know. And so,
that's awesome.
And so he asked me to meet his family for lunch, and I went to lunch to meet his family, and then his family invited me to church, and so. So we started dating. We actually got engaged 6 weeks after we met.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
We got married 2 years later. We actually broke up for a little bit in between there, but that's a whole nother story. So, and when we got married, Billy wanted to have children right away, and I was scared to death. But it took him all of 6 weeks after we were married to talk me into having a baby. And so I got pregnant just 2 months after we were married. And so
instant children again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Runs in the family, huh?
I was 23 when I had my first son, Aaron, and I was scared to death to be a mom. But Billy was so ready and happy to be a dad that he really was a great dad right at the beginning. And I was fortunate enough to have lots of family around to help me. So I was scared. And then I had Allie 2 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you mind, if you don't have to, but what were some of those fears that you had?
Well, I like to have everything perfect in my life, which is a lofty goal because no life is perfect. And so I was scared to death that I would mess up my children, that I would make mistakes. There's a part of me that felt that I didn't deserve to be a mom because of some choices I had made before I had my first child. And so I didn't feel I deserved them, and I was afraid that I would mess them up. And I was afraid that I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how to parent them or raise them. I was literally terrified.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? And you said you had some, you had like good family around you. Like, what did that do to, as far as like walking into that pregnancy and then motherhood journey? How important was that to have your family and community?
I personally would have been lost if I didn't have family around to help me. Actually, when Billy and I got married, we lasted 5 months on our own in our own place, and then we moved in with Billy's parents. And so I lived in her home my whole pregnancy, and then with the birth of my son, I was in her home. And so just being there and having family around and having the help, it saved me for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so special. Okay, and Allie, we have heard your story. I'm going to attach your story, but I would love to hear from your Nana's perspective again. What was it like having grandkids? Like when, especially in the home with you, what was that like?
Having a baby in my home that I didn't birth was amazing. I didn't have any of the birth pains. None of the stretch marks. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. I love it.
I just feel this. But it was so amazing to get to hold this little baby that was my son's and my daughter's now, my new daughter. Oh, it was amazing.
Oh, that's so
I
precious.
can't tell you how wonderful it was.
Oh my gosh.
It was so awesome. Amazing. And great-grandkids.
Great-grandchildren. Wow.
Oh, I don't go there. You want me to finish this? Oh man, I am so blessed. I can't even tell you.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Annie, I forgot to ask you too before, like, were you working when you, or were you like a stay-at-home mom?
I did both. I stayed at home right at the beginning, and then we tried to move out on our own. And so we moved out on our own, and I helped my sister do daycare for a year or so. I did that. I had Aaron at the house, and then I got pregnant, and my sister was pregnant, and we were running a daycare together. And so I did that for a little while. And then as the kids started to get a little bit older, I actually got a job working at the mortgage company that my mom was a vice president for. And so I worked there, and I had my kids in daycare. And it was awful we had to get up we had one car. So we had to get up at 6 a.m. Billy had to take the kids to daycare. He took me to work. He went to work. He picked me up from work. We picked up the kids from daycare, and then we went home, and we got home at about 7 p.m, and we did it all over again. And it was just really awful. It was hard.
Oh my gosh.
And then
Allie
started calling the daycare provider Mama. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
That's it. I am not working. I'm quitting. And I stopped working and I stayed at home and was able to raise them from home for about another year and a half. I did go back to work for a little bit, but I had family members watch the kids, so that was easier. And then I stopped working again because I just couldn't handle the full-time working. It was super hard to have someone take care of your kids that long in the day. And so I stopped working again and was home about a year, not working at all. And then I went batty. Like I went, so, and then I started doing wall murals, and I was able to work around my kids' school schedule. And so then my life was literally a dream after that. So.
Oh my gosh. I remember seeing some of those. They're amazing. That's so cool that you were able to like tap into that like part of you that you, I mean, had painting been a passion for you? Like where did that come from? Like, how did you think, oh, maybe I could try this and like make money off of it? Where did that like sprout?
That's a big story.
Okay.
I studied architecture in high school, and then I failed algebra 3 times in college. And so I dropped that major, and then Billy and I got married and had kids, and then there was no school happening after that. Mm-hmm. And so just through circumstances and the Lord working in my life, I literally started seeing wall murals and thought, I think I could do that. And I'll tell you the story. I'll tell you this. So I kept on saying, I think I could do wall murals. And me and my mom were walking through the mall, and I saw an old friend from high school, and it's Michael Vasquez, and he's actually the owner of Miguel's Jr. We went to high school together, and we
oh my God.
And he asked me if I was an architect because that's what I was studying in high school. And I told him, I go, no, but I've seen some wall murals, and I think I want to try that. And then he goes, oh, my wife's pregnant, and we've been looking for someone to do a wall mural. Will you come do one for us?
No way.
Yeah, and so I was like, I totally froze up, got nervous, and it was about 2 weeks later, and my mother called me on the phone, and she said, have you called and set the mural up yet? And I'm like, I'm too afraid. She goes, I'm going to give you to the end of the day, and if you don't call, I'm calling for you.
That's a good mom.
And made me make that phone call, and the rest is history. I've been doing murals ever since. So
that is incredible. Oh my gosh. Oh, we need to like attach some pictures of what you've done so people can see. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's a huge piece of your life. Like
it really is. That'd be a whole nother radio show to get that story out, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Allie, I want to hear your voice. I'm sorry, it was just your family's so fascinating. No wonder you're so awesome. Okay, so I wonder like what are some of the thoughts going through your head as you're hearing them kind of share? I mean, obviously you know a lot of their stories, but like what are some things that kind of like come up for you as you hear this? Like things that you're like proud of or things that have helped you kind of pursue your dreams or whatever, like in your life?
Yeah. Well, I also fit in the instant children scenario. All of a sudden I have these little people you're responsible for. And it's happened. That's funny. I didn't fully realize that we all kind of shared that part. But I just am noticing how important family is and the generations and having the support, because so much of my mom's story has to do with my Nana helping her. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you can't do anything alone. Like it really does take a village. And I'm very fortunate to live so close to both of them. And it's awesome for me because I did live with my parents for a while too when my kids were little. Being able to see my kids react to my Nana and to my mom. It was funny on the car ride over here, Luca's like, who is your mom? And I told him, he's like, who's your grandma? And I was like, my grandma's Nana. And he just, it's amazing that he knows all of them and that, you know, we family. So, yeah.
So oh gosh, you've already kind of answered this question, but if there's like something specific that you could share that you think of for each of you, one thing that you feel like, okay, this I got from my mama. Like, this is something that I learned from her and I'm seeing it played out in my life. And yeah, like, I guess, Allie, we could start with you if that works. Like, what's something that you specifically, and it can be from both your Nana and your mom, like something specific that you're like, yeah, this is definitely from them.
Yeah. I think a lot of the strength and honesty and being honest about where you are in your life and being open to share your story and just share who you are with other people and not want to put like a filter on to make yourself seem better than you are. You know, just being honest and real about the things we go through as moms and the things that happen to us and all of those things. And I think it's important not only for your own family to know things about each other, but just how stories impact other people around us, you know. So I think just...
That's amazing.
Who did that come from? Who did that come from? Your mom?
Both of you, I think. Yeah, both of you. Yeah.
Well, she taught me how to love my children regardless of anything that's going on in life, and to put them first and to always be there for my kids, which I don't know if I've done, but she's done that. My mom literally lived her entire life taking care of her children, and she has adopted kids and people that just, can I call you mom, please? Because she's just taught me to constantly and always be available and help and pray and love my family no matter what. That's what she's taught me.
Oh my gosh. You guys are making me tear up over here. That's so beautiful. Oh. Nana, do you have anything to add?
What did your mom teach you?
Well, when I think of Mom, she raised her 7 children with no running water, cooking on a wood stove.
Whoa.
Out in the country. And I lived that way until I was 6 years old.
Wow.
And so I know what it's like to see a mom have a garden, grow her own food, feed her own chickens, literally provide for a family the hardest way. People nowadays have no idea what it's like.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
Have fresh food and vegetables, but work for it.
Wow.
My dad worked in the fields, raising grain and corn and wheat, harvesting it and taking it, you know, and cows, taking them to the sale and having them butchered and put in the lockers in the city for families to have meat year-round. And we ate well only because the way that they provided for their family.
Wow.
But yet she could get up in the morning and go with a red-hot pot-bellied stove because the house was heated by wood. We did have electricity, but we had no indoor heating.
Wow.
It was by a wood stove. So yes, I walked to the bus stop.
Oh my gosh.
And you hear 5 miles both way uphill.
Wow. Oh my God. It came from somewhere, right? Like, that's amazing.
But I did have to walk to the bus stop and ride to the city on a school bus. So yeah, I remember those days. I moved to California when I was 7 and got to go to a city school. But my mother knew it rough. My mother was 50 when I was born, and I was the last of 7 children.
Oh my God.
So I didn't really get to know my mother well, but I knew my mother well. And she always told me I was her favorite. But I tell the other ones the same thing. So I know that she treated us all the same way.
Wow.
But my dad always loved to tease. My dad was the darling lover, but the disciplined one also. But he told everybody that he had a boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, and Fran. So, however that lies, I was the last one of 7, and there were every other ones until I came along. So there were 3 girls, 3 boys, and me. So
that's amazing.
So that's a wonderful, wonderful family. But I started out with a really rough life. But my mother and dad made it work, and they were great Christian people, and I was raised with a great Christian principle, and that's how I was founded, and that is how I was able to raise my children.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, and it's so amazing to hear. I think this is significant that you're the mother-in-law, like, and to see the connection and the closeness that you all have. Specifically like with Annie, and obviously with Allie, that's kind of going to be natural, but it's just really amazing, like, and refreshing, because I don't think you see or hear about that as much as being so connected to a mother-in-law. And I think that's just a testament to your legacy. And yeah, it's just so beautiful. Like, it's just amazing.
Like what Allie said about being real and honest. I mean, we've known each other for 33 years. And so a lot of real and honest conversations. Yes. And, we have gone through tragedies together. We've gone through triumphs together. And we've put in the work because it's worth it.
Yes, it is.
It's worth it. It's worth it to forgive, and it's worth it to look over each other's weaknesses, and to just keep on loving, trying, and believing the best. I mean, it's worth it to put the work in.
Oh, it is. And it's work. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
we're 3 strong women.
Yes, we are.
And we all have opinions and ideas, and, but we make it work because we love each other.
Yeah. No, I think that's amazing. Like, thank you for adding that, right? Because it's, easy to think, like, for people on the outside hearing this, like, oh my gosh, how do they have such an amazing relationship? Well, the work went in, right? And that is such a huge part of it that we don't, always talk about, or it's easy just to like look at the highlight reel, right? At least for us, like as millennials or whatever. So I really appreciate that honesty and vulnerability there. That's a big deal for sure. Okay, so I'd love to wrap it up and have you share like a favorite memory that you have of each other.
Yeah, okay, cool. I would say my favorite memory, and it's chaos, but right after Luca was born, he was like a week old, my Nana and my Grandpa John moved into the house with my parents and us. We all lived in one house together.
No way.
And had my first baby, and I was like, there's 3 dogs. There's 3 dogs, and it was just, it was crazy. But I think that it was so special for us all to, and I mean, they lived there for a couple months, and then they got a house close by. But I think it was so special for us to all live in the same house, especially for me with my first baby, being able to see both of them, how they treat him, and the advice I got, and even just learning how to make certain food, stuff like that. Coffee, how important coffee is.
Oh, yes.
Like that. So I think that was just so special. I have a lot of memories when I was a little kid too, but I think it's more special now as I'm older to be able to, be aware and not a spazzy child. So
that's fair. There's something that changes, right? Like once you have your first kid, like that, like so much respect for for your mom, right?
Right.
That's so cool. That is such a sweet memory.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a memory? I have so many. It's hard to pick.
That's fair.
My favorite just happened. I just lost my husband.
And my darling daughter here stepped in and took over my home, organized meals. I mean, I had all of the adopted kids. I probably had 10 different people from all over everywhere just move into my home.
Wow.
And this girl just called the church, called people, organized food. I didn't have to worry about feeding them.
Wow.
Sleeping them, nothing. She was there.
Wow.
I don't know what I would have done if it hadn't been for her. That was my favorite.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yeah. How am I supposed to
I know. Good luck. Wow.
I couldn't have made it.
Wow.
Yikes. Well, I'll make it real light and fun. Because one of my favorite memories is of one of her many accomplishments. She is a phenomenal organist and piano player. And she has taught Allie how to play the piano.
Oh my God.
And so I have so many memories of the two of them sitting and playing together and doing worship in church together and singing together, and just knowing that they've taught each other, that they've been able to do that together. For me, just to sit back and watch that, that's one of my favorite memories. So it's a good one. I'll go with that. Keep it a little light.
You guys are amazing. Oh, thank you for taking the time to share your legacy and of love, and just being willing to like lay it all out there and bless this community with your stories. Thank you.
Thanks for having
Oh, of course. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. It was such a pleasure to have you listen in. If you'd like more information about this guest and other guests, you can check that out on Facebook and Instagram at Mommispace. And you can also email me at mommispace@gmail.com if you want more details or have any questions or would just like to get in touch. I'm always looking for new connections. Also, it would mean so much if you could leave us either a rating or review or both on iTunes. This just gets the word out about the show. It's a way that we can get more connected with more mamas out there. And it really helps me out as I am doing this on my own. And sometimes I just need a little lift up, y'all. It's good to hear from you that way. Thank you so much again for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing week. Remember, you are loved, you are enough, and you are doing your very best. See you next week, Mama.